Thanks for the introduction and the chance to be here, and also moving me forward in the queue. I just finished voting on the floor, and I need to go right back to the floor. But this is an important issue, and it's one of the reasons that I'm here. And of course, Trevor Loudon has been a friend for a long time, and I've admired your work, and I wish I had read and digested every single word of it. That's still one of my goals, although I've gotten through a fair amount. And I appreciate the research that he has done as well. And I've made some trips over into that part of the world, into the mainland of China, and also I just came back from Taiwan in September, I believe it was. And as I see this, we're 7+ billion people on the planet. And those that are living and doing the best have the maximum amount of freedom to exercise their religion, their beliefs and their faith, to raise their families as they see fit, to engage in free enterprise, to live under the rule of law. These pillars of the free society that we so strongly defend here in the United States, that are written into our Declaration of Independence and into our Constitution. And we are called in this country to project those values around the world. And that was part of a prayer that was given in Jamestown in 1607, not very far south of here, right off on the Atlantic coast, where they planted a cross and they knelt and they prayed and they said, God, guide us, but to carry these values around the world. And these are the values that I'm here defending today, the values of religious freedom, and the values of freedom itself and the rule of law. And it is hard for the very sad news of what has happened to the Falun Gong to penetrate into the consciousness of the United States Congress, let alone the American people. And for some reason, the magnitude of it that we've just heard some description of, and thank you very much for that, the magnitude of it has been missed mostly by the American people and by Congress. 80 million people altogether. And the denying the human right, the natural right, the God-given natural right to worship as you please, live as you please, and for a group of people that is 70 to 100 million people strong, to be denied those freedoms and then be persecuted and tortured and maligned and marginalized and killed, and organs sold into the marketplace for somebody else to live off of those. It is an awful record of disrespect and contempt for human rights that comes out of the Marxist government of the Communist Party of China. And I look back at the day of June 1st, 1989, the Tiananmen Square incident. And by the way, I went there, and at 4:30 in the morning, I escaped my security detail and slipped out underneath the tunnel and went out to that place where that man stood in front of that tank and stared that tank down, where they built the Statue of Liberty and displayed it there in the demonstrations that were so inspiring to the rest of the world. And I've long reflected, if the Berlin Wall came down November 9th of 1989, half a year later after the Tiananmen Square confrontation where so many were killed, if that had been on the other side of the historical equation, if the Berlin Wall had come down June 1st, and if the Tiananmen Square confrontation, demonstrations had taken place November 9th instead of the other way around, I think that all Chinese people would live and breathe free today. That anomaly of history that took place inspired all of us, but it wasn't sustainable in the face of the bloody shutdown of the demonstrations that were there. And that strengthened the strong arm of the Communist Chinese government on the mainland, and that enabled them to continue the atrocities, and the Falun Gong movement actually began after that, as I understand it. So I want to, in this United States Congress, and I support the resolution that defends the Falun Gong, that condemns the government of China for persecuting a people that just want to be peacefully worship and live free. How can you deny people the will that want to do that? There's got to be a plus to society, not a minus. And plus, even if they think they're a minus, there's still public freedoms that would need to be promoted around the world. And so that's why I'm here today, is to encourage all of you, let you know that my commitment's there with you, and encourage all of the speakers that are here. You've come, some of you, a long ways to deliver this message. Some of us in Congress will hear this message today. I certainly hear it. And I will do all I can to make sure the rest of them hear it, and I'll stand with you as long as it takes. So God bless you and in your freedoms, and can we bring about human rights and decency everywhere in the world for all 7 billion people. Thank you very much.
questions?
I could, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Congressman King has actually he chaired Constitutional Opportunity Society at the Congress for more than 10 years, which is a powerful caucus serve as the conscience of constitutional conservative in the Congress. He's a leader on that. Okay, then I know he won't be able to stay long. We have a member of press. Do you have any question for him for 1 or 2? Yes.
Congressman King. We have this observing this Tuidang movement, which is withdraw from the Communist Party in China. We have more than 200 million people withdrawn from the organizations. Similar to that, we see like heavy infiltration in this country by the communism. So is there any way you can think of like is any similar thing we can do in this country? Because for that movement in China, even though there's such a large number of people withdrawing from the Communist Party, the party itself cannot do that much to stop it. So that's like a very peaceful but very effective and a powerful movement can change China, forever for the better. So is there anything similar we can do in other countries? Similar things like, peaceful withdraw the support, from the evil.
Well, I think that what you're doing here is good today. And if you can identify a forum anywhere across this country, college, universities, for example, will be one of those places where you can raise the awareness of the cause, and it takes a long time to penetrate it out through a society. But you also should know that every word you say, every word that you write, every time you stand up for what you believe in, it does make a difference. It might only make a little bit of a difference, but it might make a lot of difference too. I mean, I'm still here inspired by the man who stood in front of that tank in June 1st of 1989. So your voices do matter. Second thing is, what can I do? The ambassador to China is Ambassador Terry Branstad. He was the governor of Iowa for 30 years, a longtime friend. And so when I see him, this is an agenda that I will put into his ear, and I'm going to ask him, take that to your friend, Xi, and make the case. Just tell him, back off. America wants you to back off and respect people and quit discriminating against and persecuting the Falun Gong. That's something I can do. You do everything you can do. If I do all I can do, if we all do that, then we're making progress in the right direction. And also, this isn't for me, I was in Taiwan, in Tibet a few years ago, Taiwan a few months ago, Tibet a few years ago, and there I could see the Chinese influence going into Lhasa and essentially supplanting some of the Tibetans, and I could see that it was an effort focused against their culture and civilization that's there. And I don't know why that's troublesome to the communist Chinese, to have a culture of people that live up there in the high altitudes, that mind their own business and live peacefully. They're causing nobody any trouble. They just don't like the ideology that threatens the atheistic approach. We have Christians in China too. And I want them to be free and have the ability to worship freely. And so that's how I'll try to push this message. And now I challenge you, do all you can with whatever platform you have. I think I need to run. I got the signal. Thank you very much. Thank you.